So now I want to get right in. So you're now moving the business. You're doing very well in the net side. You're growing this business. What made you say, and what did you do when you had this idea, I want to go into Shark Tank? Like, how did that whole thing come about?
Well, funny story. When I was at one of my heaviest weights, I was supposed to be on a TV show called The Biggest Loser. You know, I was casted for that show, but then like I didn't make the season. And then they called me the following year for a new season. It was like, hey, we're gonna get you on this one.
Puzzle.
And then that didn't happen again. And then the same producers called me again 6 months later, and they're like, "Hey, we have another weight loss show called Extreme Weight Loss. We want you to be on that one instead. It's more personal, it's more inspiring." And I made it all the way to finals to the point where they flew me out, and I started filming for the show. And long story short, that opportunity fell through as well. But
But how did you get to even that point of interacting with these people? Like,
there was an open casting call in Miami, and my mom tricked me to go. They were looking for like duos, whether it was friends, family members, whatever. It was a season where they were going to be working in teams versus teams, And so she was like, "Hey, we should do it together." And I was like, "Okay, you want to do it?
Mom said it, let's go."
Yeah, so we waited on a 10-hour line for that casting. And when we got to the door, she pulled out. She's like, "Oh, you go, baby. They're going to love your story." So she set me up. And she was right. They did love my story. At the time I was working with NASA too. And they called me back and called me back and called me back. But with these TV shows, it's like dynamics and there's lawyers and there's just like so many things involved. But the producers, they really liked me and they kept in touch with me for years after the show, even though I didn't make the show. They were following me on IG, LinkedIn, Facebook. Every time I had a new accomplishment, they would show their love, and support. Then I lost a lot of weight on my own after that, so they congratulated me on that too. It's like, see, you didn't need.
So
the
you were
show.
connecting them with them through social media, and they kept on watching your.
Kept watching, and one lady in particular, her name was Holland. She was one of the producers of the show, and she saw when my Seamoss business started booming, and she was like, "Have you heard of Shark Tank? Have you thought about it?" And I was like, "Man,
relationships again."
Yeah, relationships. And I was like, "Man, I love that show." She's like, "Well, they're going to be casting around May, but I want you to send someone this. I want you to send an email to this email in March. It's 2 months early, but it's okay. I opened the door for you." And I remember emailing that email and hearing nothing back. And then May came. This was March now. May came where now casting's open for everybody. And I'm like, man, should I just
March this year? Like literally?
No, last year.
Last year, okay.
Yeah, because my episode just aired this weekend,
but you
we
filmed it last year,
September last year. So the official casting started May of last year, but like she wanted me to send an email to this email in March, 2 months before casting, and I didn't hear anything back. I didn't get anything back. So when May happened, I got frustrated, and I was like, man, let me just apply like a regular schmegular person, so I don't miss this window. And I went on the Shark Tank website and I submit my application. They have a lot of junior producers that make these calls because there's so many people applying. So, I got a phone call from a guy that was a junior and we did a phone interview. And based on the story, how we started, everything that's gone on in my life, and then we gave them the numbers, it was like a boom for them. They were like, "Oh, we're moving you to the next round," So they moved me right away to the next part of the casting process. After that, it was a very long process of like filming at home footage, sending them numbers and practicing pitches, and hopefully you'd make it again to the next round and the next round and the next round. So many times you can get cut, and everything just kept sounding really good. And I remember one day, now we're no longer in my mom's house. We're which
you
by
moved
the way,
on up to the east side.
Yeah, well, we had a neighbor that was really complaining about all the 18-wheelers coming and dropping off pallets of glass and packing peanuts. And honestly, my neighborhood started to look like a warehouse district. And
clearly,
I'm in Wellington, and no, they didn't want that.
Right.
They're used to walking their dogs and it being clean and quiet and green. Here we are with like trash piled up to the streets and, stuff like that. So we got a nice letter saying that we had 10 days to stop business from the county of Wellington. And then luckily we found a commercial property within like 7 days. And so now we're in a commercial property. I have my staff there. And I remember getting a call from California. This was after we submitted everything. We were already like 3 rounds in. And they were like, hey, we want to congrat. And I stopped them right there as soon as they said, I knew what they were about to say. And I said, hold on 1 second. You mind if I run back inside and put this on speakerphone? I want my whole team to hear this at the same time, you know? So I went back inside.
Whatever there was, you congrat, you.
Yeah. And I stopped him mid-sentence. I was like, no, this is not happening. I got to let the whole crew know at the same time. We got to hear this together. And I went back inside because it's really noisy. You got everybody packing, taping, blenders going off. And I went back inside. I muted the phone. I was like, everybody, turn off everything. Come here. Everybody came to the middle. And I put the phone down. I put it on speaker. My grandmother was there that day too, helping the lady.
Powerful.
And then I said, hey, can you continue what you were saying? And he was just like, hey, I just want to congratulate you. You made it to the final round. You're going to be on Shark Tank, you know? And it's like, yo, my whole staff lost their mind.
They went crazy.
They lost their mind. They couldn't believe it.
So did you wanted to go more for what? To promote the business, more for the investment? Like, what did you really wanted to go on the Shark Tank? If you're already scaling and doing good business.